there's something like in the melodies that come out of like the north of England. Of course, we know about the Beatles, you know, and people like Justin Hayward of the Moody Blues, you know, just these melodies that are just like heart-wrenching. And you're right there. I'm gonna have to go live there for a little while and drink the water, and you know.
You can stay at me mother's.
Okay, well, can I? All right. In fact, I could probably talk New Age stuff if
Next to a pub as well. It's next door to a pub.
Oh, good. Yeah. That'll work. Well, I'm gonna do a song about being shipwrecked. Has anybody ever been shipwrecked out there? Actually, this is when I was a kid. My dad read out loud to me "Treasure Island" by Robert Louis Stevenson from Edinburgh, just a little north of.
Oh, see you, Jimmy.
Yes. And I got really inspired by that, and I tried to write my own story when I was a little kid, and. Fortunately, my parents saved my effort. It was not very developed. I sort of illustrated slightly, and but anyway, when I saw it, I figured I had to finish it up. You know, all these years later. So I wrote this little song called "Shipwrecked," and set the stage for you a little bit. You have to imagine like sort of a seacoast town. I kind of put it up in Northern California, or maybe Santa Cruz, someplace like that. One of the, you know how the towns that are down close to the ocean, because of the coastline, the streets kind of go crooked. They're not like, you know, laid out like a city in Nebraska or something, you know, right? They're kind of crooked. And the houses, you know, they're kind of weather beaten by the sea, so they're kind of leaning this way and leaning that way. And just everything's a little bit odd. And so imagine a town like that, one of these old houses, and here's this guy comes wandering by, and he's standing at the gate, and looking out of the upper floor window of the house are three sisters. That's how we start off here. Well, he pushes on the gate, the hinges squeak, the people in the house, they begin to freak. Three sisters at the window looking out. He's a shipwrecked man. There can be no doubt he's been shipwrecked by the passionate gales. They battered his hull, they tattered his sails. The storms of delusion have cast him aground to be a shipwrecked man in a shipwrecked town. Says Sister Regret with her permanent frown. No good's gonna come from him hanging around. He's bad for my health and my real estate. Something's gonna happen, just you wait. Says Sister Denial, he's an obvious bum. I know his type, they come looking for rum. They darken our doorways, they hassle our minds. Step back from the window, I lower the blinds. He's been shipwrecked by the passionate gales. They battered his hull, they tattered his sails. The storms of delusion have cast him aground to be a shipwrecked man in a shipwrecked town. Sister Denial and Sister Regret put their heads together till their plans were set. We're calling the cops, cause that would be best. Don't you agree, little Sister Celeste? Well, Sister Celeste finally spoke up at last. She says, wait a minute, girls, not so fast. Take a look at his eyes, he's no more than a boy. He's looking for some peace, he's looking for some joy. He's been shipwrecked by the passionate gales. They battered his hull, they tattered his sails. The storms of delusion have cast him aground to be a shipwrecked man in a shipwrecked town. Sister Celeste, she puts on her shawl,
She's through the front door and out to the wall. She looks in his eyes as he opens the gate. She says, come along now, it's never too late. She leads him by a hand down the cobblestone lane. They walk through the sunlight, they walk through the rain, through the fields and orchards and up the high hill where the atmosphere is peaceful and still. He's been shipwrecked by the passionate gales. They battered his hull, they tattered his sails, but he's leaving this town and his troubles behind with a celestial girl to try to ease his mind. She pillows his head in her womanly breast. She rocks him to sleep, she rolls him to rest. And when he awakes, his vision is clear. He says it all looks different from way up here. The sister Celeste, after thinking a while, says, I can't see returning to regret and denial. We all must choose between love and fear. When I looked in your eyes, my decision was clear. I've been shipwrecked by the passionate gales. They battered my hull, they tattered my sails. The storms of delusion, I'm rising above. I'm setting my sights on the ocean of love. Now meanwhile, back at the house on the street, Sister Regret, she gets to her feet. Little sister found freedom, she says with a smile. It's time that we should follow her celestial style. So Sister Denial, and she's nodding her head. There's a lot of wisdom in what you just said. But before we go making our celestial claims, we gotta do something about changing these names. We've been shipwrecked by the passionate gales. They battered our hull, they tattered our sails. The storms of delusion have cast us aground. We're just shipwrecked girls in a shipwrecked town. We're down at the dock, there's a rising tide, and a ship that's bound for the other side. She's an elegant craft and her masts are tall, but the townspeople don't seem to see her at all. And up on the deck, standing hand in hand, her sister Celeste and her celestial man, regretting denial, trying to make up their minds. If they go, they gotta leave their baggage behind. We've been shipwrecked by the passionate gales. They battered our hull, they tattered our sails. The storms of delusion are rising above to resume our journey on the ocean of love.
Shipwrecked.